Nobody told us where we stand. And Flash Gordon was there in silver underwear. Claude Rains was the invisible man. Then something went wrong for Fay Ray and King Kong. They got caught in a celluloid jam. And when worlds collide, said George Pell to his bride, I'm gonna give you some terrible thrills like science fiction, double feature, Dr. X will build a creature, see androids fighting, Fred and Janet, and Francis Darwin, Forbidden Planet, at the late night double feature picture show. I wanna go to the late night double feature picture show in the back row. To the late night double feature picture show.
Earth Mark I. Only 50 million years after the Sun burst into life, we are one of hundreds of protoplanets in the early solar system. And like all the other competing bodies, we formed through a series of devastating cataclysms. It was a Titanomachy, a war among the Titan protoplanets. It was gravity versus gravity, mass against mass, and all bets were on. To the victor came the spoils. In a great, eons-long exchange of smashed rocky material, the early Earth acquires precious water, precious iron, and precious gold. In 100 million years, the Earth collapsed into a sphere, but it was still too small to generate a magnetic field adequate enough to start and sustain life. But luck is the most abundant commodity in the universe. Combined with physics, as in the laws of, they create the planetoid Theia, just over our shoulder. About 60 degrees over our shoulder. For millions of years, little Theia raced after us, dogging our every step. After centuries of calculations, Theia finally makes her move, and delivers us a sweet, glancing blow. Trillions of tons of debris is hurled into orbit, and the Earth reverts into a molten world with vast magma oceans 600 miles deep. A ring of expelled material forms around the new planetoid and coalesces into moons. Theia restarted the clock, and soon the sun rose on Earth Mark II, stabilized by 2 moons. It's alive with electromagnetism, volcanism, and chemistry. In no time at all, the Earth turns green with life. Since the beginning of mankind, cultures and religions all over the world have tried to explain the origins of existence. Most of them uncannily reflected the primitive belief of the universe as a flat disk touched around its rim by the vast dome of the heavens. Hesiod was the first man to give literary expression to the systematic explanation of how the gods, the universe, and humankind came into being. His works are steeped in a religious aura of divinely inspired revelation. In the beginning, there existed only chaos, a vast void, the first principle. It resolved itself into Gaia, the wide-bosomed earth, the secure foundation of everything forever. Below Gaia brooded the dark gloom of Tartarus. The first deity is female, the basic matriarchal concept of earth and fertility. But she is alone. and so produces Uranos, who emerges as her equal, the sky above her, the male principle who fertilizes her with rainfall. Personifications of earth and sky are recurring themes in primitive agricultural tribes, which allow Gaia and Uranos to procreate, and procreate they do, shooting out 12 new titans the old-fashioned way. Only some of the first-generation titans came to any renown. They are heralded mainly for their progeny, because in the genealogical labyrinth of mythology, all lineage may be traced back to the titans and the other forms originating from chaos. The titans are 6 male and 6 female, and are best considered in pairs. Hyperion is the first sun god, the most powerful of the Titans. He took to wife his sister Theia, the goddess of vision and the shining lights of the upper ether. She endowed precious metals and gems with their brilliance. While Hyperion was merely god of the early sun, Theia was goddess of light itself. The ancient Greeks who believed in Theia also believed that the eyes contained an internal fire that emitted beams which illuminated the observed world. The emission theory of vision was promoted by the scholars Euclid and Ptolemy. In Thessaly, Theia's oracular shrine shone her light on the future, and her name came to mean divine prophecy. She was the very mother of sight, and quite literally the mother of the sun, the moon, and the dawn. With her brother Hyperion, Theia produced Eos, the rosy-fingered child god of the dawn, Helios, the tireless god of the sun, and Selene, the richly tressed goddess of the moon. These second-generation titans would go on to claim worlds of their own. In 1687, Isaac Newton published Principia Mathematica and presented the famous three-bodied problem of celestial mechanics. 1769, Leonhard Euler discovers 3 gravity wells in the Sun-Earth system. 1772, Joseph Louis Lagrange discovers the remaining 2 by demonstrating constant pattern solutions. Classic Newtonian physics gives rise to Lagrangian mechanics. Mid-19th century, Julius Mayer determined that the moon is spiraling away from the Earth. So, in the distant past, the moon was much closer to the Earth. Interesting. In his paper of 1878, George Darwin reasoned that by extending far enough into Earth's past, you'd find a point where the Earth and moon were in contact. His hypothesis involves a viscous blob, centrifugal forces, internal oscillations, and resonant tidal effects. Well, that's enough to get you expelled. 1946, Reginald Daly adjusted Darwin's catalyst by positing the moon's creation from a giant impact. The hard math, it seems, favors his hypothesis. Mid-20th century, Dr. William Hartmann is NASA's official moon mapper ahead of the Apollo missions. He speculated on the origins of the Earth-Moon system. Of all the solar planets, only the Earth has a large, stabilizing moon. Why? From 1969 to 1972, from the Sea of Tranquility to Taurus Littrow, 6 Apollo missions and 12 astronauts went to the moon and back again. They searched for Genesis rock, a composite of the aggregates of our creation. They brought back 840 pounds of material. Upon examination, they are virtually identical to the Earth's mantle. By 1975, Hartmann supports Daly's giant impact hypothesis in a paper published in Icarus, the Journal of Planetary Science, edited by Carl Sagan. 1983, the International Cometary Explorer enters Lagrangian point 1. The first artificial object is placed in one of the 5 libration zones, proving that a suspension between gravitational fields is possible. In the year 2000, geochemist Alex Halliday proposes the designation Theia for the giant impactor. Another name proposed was Orpheus. Alright, Theia it is. In 2001, the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe was launched to the L2 point, where it entered a halo orbit and provided the first full sky map of the microwave background radiation of our universe, the first glimpse of the Big Bang. Later that year, the Genesis probe entered L1 and collects samples of solar wind, which she returns to Earth. Since 2003, the Global Geospace Science Probe has surveyed Lagrange points 1 and 2, contributing data to over 3,000 scientific papers. She has enough fuel to last another 60 years. 2005, Belbruno and Gott publish a paper that shatters science by concluding that Theia, the impactor, formed in the L4 or L5 zones. The math is solid, and it presents all the requisites for a proper scientific theory. 2009 was a big year. Both the Planck Surveyor and the Herschel Space Observatory reached the L2 point. Later that year, the twin Solar Terrestrial Relations Observatories enter Lagrange points 4 and 5. Stereos A and B are designed as flanking 3D solar surveyors, but for a while, their sensors are repurposed toward their immediate space, and they search for ancient planetesimals that failed to join with Theia and may still be lingering. Finally, in 2009, the Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer was launched. 2010, TK7 is the first Earth Trojan asteroid to be discovered in the L4 zone. 2010, SO15 is then discovered in the L5. In 2011, Chang reaches the L2, traveling farther than any other Chinese space probe. These days, at the Sandia National Laboratories, military impact specialists feed the hypothesis parameters into a classified supercomputer. A full 1/3 of simulations yield a stabilized Earth with a dynamic core and a seasonal tilt. Luck and physics, apparently, doing what they do. The scientific media catches on, and the ancient light of Theia shines upon the new world. October 2013, the Global Astrometric Interferometer for Astrophysics, or the Gaia Space Observatory, will launch to the L2. Her mission? To catalog 1 billion stars. In 2018, the James Webb Space Telescope will be launched. Voted most likely to answer many questions and to posit many more. Unlike a mere god, the hypothetical planet Theia comes to represent chance in the universe. If a tiny dust grain was moved by the width of a human hair early in the history of planetary growth, it might have affected a collision millions of years later. Theia could have missed us altogether. But instead, the usurper was the hero, not vanquished, but consumed.